Africa, given the fact that it is a fast-growing population. Sub-Saharan Africa will be most affected, up to more than 250%. Now, that is something to ponder on, but also experts suggest that if acted upon now by the governments that are covered in this study, it means that there are high chances of them saving what could be a disaster of a vulnerable healthcare system. But also, as you think about that as a Ugandan, think about the fact that lately, by trend and by convenience and by the word cool, we tend to forego our homegrown foods, our local foods, and focus so much on a lot of junk foods. Think about that by the 2050, where will you be as an individual? What will your health be like? What will your children be like? But also, today, the 5th day of March 2025, the President of Uganda, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is set to commission the Kampala flyover. Hopefully that is going to help you to plan your route and journey strategically as you leave your home for work. But good morning, Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba Musisi, and I am with the usual suspect, Robert Nyonyintono Chirabo. That is the usual suspect and partner in an acceptable crime. Good morning, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, lady. How are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very fine, sipping on my coffee as usual.
Strong, soft.
I love whatever it is as long as it's grown here.
Yes.
And I'm an advocate of domestic consumption of coffee. You know, I don't know, for some reasons, Ugandans are not very good at consuming coffee.
Yes.
So I'm on the campaign, please take that coffee. Otherwise, buy Uganda, build Uganda. We cannot continue growing something for someone else to buy. Now, if they come up with regulations, they can easily kick our coffee out. Recently, we saw them talk about coffee grown in areas that were once forests, wetland. This may not be accepted. We saw COVID-19 when so much could not move. So how do we promote this? Let's have local consumption of coffee. But yesterday, something perturbed me and has been disturbing me all through. That is the East African community financially starved by some partner states. What are we talking about? Now, we all know the East African community that brings together 8 countries. And we know the benefits of power or masses. And we know that we stand to benefit so much if you have a strong East African community. Now, recently, we had what we called the Rwanda peace talks, the Nairobi peace talks, and these are aiming at ensuring that there is peace in Congo. Now, the ministerial committee of ministers in these countries met and directed the CDFs, the Chief of Defense Forces of these countries, to come up with a report on how best we can have unconditional ceasefire in the DRC, how we can have hostilities released, a number of issues to see peace in DRC. And they're supposed to meet within 14 days, in a fortnight. So soon they'll be having that meeting. But the challenge we're having here is that the East African community, we are lacking money. Now, in the agreement, each member state is supposed to contribute $7 million US. That is about 25 billion every year. But as of November 2024, only 4 countries are contributing. Luckily, Uganda is one of those countries. A number of these countries are highly indebted by what they're supposed to pay. For example, Democratic Republic of Congo has a debt of about 20 million US. That is about 73 billion shillings that they have not paid. Burundi, 17 million. Come to South Sudan, 15 million. And Somalia, 7 million. Now, these are in dollars. So these countries have not heed to what they committed to give. And some countries, for example, when we talk about South Sudan, Somalia, and Burundi, seem to have forgotten that they have to remit money every year to this. So as we are talking about peacifying, we don't have the monies for this. Now, when you look at the Nairobi talks, these were sponsored by Senegal and the African Union. But now we are having SADC and the East African member states meeting for the purpose of ensuring that there's peace in the DRC. But when we see that members know that we need monies to run these things, we need money, and we must contribute, we must subscribe, we must pay our membership to run the affairs. President's meeting, these meetings take money. If
That's
you're to
true.
look at all these, you know, you can't run an organization if you're not
Without money.
funding, you know. The parliaments to sit, you see people scramble to go there, all these. So that is a challenge, and I felt very disturbed. I'm like, should we again wait for a white man to come and say they are funding?
And I remember watching Honorable Kadaga talk about this and share the fact that when you're attending meetings and these member states are in the room and you're talking about the issue of them not paying, it's rather disturbing. And I thought to myself, by the time it got out to the point that now we know it on a larger platform and it's never stayed behind the curtains, that means I'm not so sure if the discussions involved, are there strategies of paying the debt? Are there strategies of a plan of these member states that haven't paid yet that is being discussed before it even skipped its boundaries to make it to the media?
Now, I think Honorable Kadaga, that is the first Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for East African Affairs, East African Community Affairs, she said, one time maybe they thought we can have sanctions, that if you've not paid, you don't speak, you don't do this. But she said to arrive at this, actually the same people in the room. So when you bring this up, they cannot second it because they're the very people. So I think for us, and this is the right thing, if you're talking about the East African community, you're talking about trade, free movement of goods and services, you're talking about matters of security, because who knows, if we didn't have the East African community, I remember when the M23, they attacked Bunya or something. We saw the forces go there. Now they can't go there because now SADC came in. And the East Africans were removed by Felix Tshisekedi, who felt maybe they weren't doing that so very much well. But just imagine that so much we've achieved. Because united we stand, united we conquer. We can't talk about the European Union, the United States of America, these big blocks that speak as powerful blocks, you know, and now you bring a crippled East African communities, because you need numbers
to influence decisions
on global platforms. We need numbers to develop within ourselves. We need numbers to be able to stand and fight and protect each other. Who knows, maybe another bloc can attack. So we can't continue cherishing numbers. You see now, every country, as long as you border another East African country, then you can be member of the East African community. We need, I think, to look at this. I don't believe in just having, I believe in quality and not quantity. I believe in not being anywhere but nowhere. So these are things I think we should just stop deliberating. Either we know you're out,
yes,
or you're in, and doing what it takes to do. 25 billion, I don't think is something big for a country a year. All the member states. Talk about South Sudan. You've seen these guys cruise most of the expensive vehicles. You see they have, it's a country. Talk about Burundi, you know. I remember even President Paul Kagame, when he was at the helm of the East Africa, he also talked about it. You know, he's a light-spoken man. But
light-spoken, but very direct.
But why, really, why?
Why?
I would.
I love the mimicking that you're doing right there, but I totally agree with you. It helps us as East Africans to have one voice and to influence decisions that are for East Africa and not easily compromise on our values and systems as East Africans. But on that note, once again, good morning to you, dear viewer. Thank you so much for choosing UBC TV as we inspire you, entertain you, and inform you with all the right information as it comes by. And on that note, let's take a look at what is on our local scene.
Oh, we have quite a number of interesting stories for you, and we'll begin with the Prime Minister, Robin Nabbanja, who was addressing engineers yesterday at the World Engineering Day. Now, the Prime Minister, Robin Nabbanja, cautioned engineers to desist from unnecessary delays, exaggerated costs, and shoddy workmanship. Nabbanja said such unprofessional behavior by engineers has cost the government a lot of money and lost in Kampala. Engineers from Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania gathered at Hotel Africana in Kampala to celebrate World Engineering Day. Prime Minister Robin Nabbanja was the chief guest. Lack of integrity and unprofessionalism by engineers in some government projects dominated the Prime Minister's speech Addressing the engineers that turned up, she said that deliberate delays by engineers in projects, plans, and reviews are some of the most unwanted behaviors that their body needs to address. She also complained about exorbitant costs and shoddy workmanship by engineers in the country, which has tarnished the image of the ruling government of NRM. Nabanja decried the delays in starting the construction of the standard gauge railway, SGR, which is already in use in other East African community states like Kenya and Tanzania. The chief engineer, Stephen Kiwanuka Kitons, the integrity of some engineers. However, he said the engineering bill, which is currently before Parliament, will help address these issues. World Engineering Day is celebrated every 4th of March after being declared in 2019. Ministers from the East African Community Affairs are set to hold a joint meeting with their counterparts from the South African Development Community SADC to resolve the ongoing conflict in East Democratic Republic of Congo between the government and M23 rebels. The first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Affairs, Rebecca Kadaga, hinted at the meeting while addressing the media on recent developments in the East African community at her office at Kingdom Hotel in Kampala. It has now been a month since M23 rebels took control of the lucrative town of Goma and other subsequent towns in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Despite Congo being a member of the East African community, the body hasn't yet deployed to bring the conflict to an end, as it did when the M23 rebels captured a smaller town of Bunya in 2022. According to the first Deputy Prime Minister, it has not been possible due to SADC's involvement. Kadaga adds that the planned joint meeting between ministers from East African Community Affairs countries with their counterparts from the Southern African Development Community SADC on the DRC conflict will chart a way forward. She also mentioned that the failure of some member states to pay their subscriptions to the community affects its operation. The first Deputy Prime Minister also was briefing the media on the progress in East African integration, decisions and directives from the Council, the outcomes of the recent East African Judicial Conference in Kigali, and the advancement in resolving the DRC conflict. Officials from the Ministry of Finance have failed to disclose to the Public Accounts Committee (PAC) of Parliament the source of the 1.5 trillion shillings increase in their expenditure, which was over the initial budget of 47.1 trillion shillings. The actual amount spent was 48.6 trillion shillings. While answering queries regarding the audit report of the consolidated financial statement for the financial year ended 30th June 2024, officials requested the committee to allow them to sit with the Auditor General and reconcile the figures. The chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, Muhammad Mwanga Chivumbi, told the harmonization meeting with officials from the Ministry of Finance and the Auditor General to reconcile figures in the budget for the financial year 2023-2024. This follows a heated debate in the committee where they discovered that the Ministry of Finance spent 1.5 trillion shillings over and above the initial budget amount of 47.1 trillion shillings. The chairperson of the committee asked officials where they sourced the 1.5 trillion, given that the report indicates that the actual amount spent was 48.682 trillion shillings. And finally, from the local scene, opposition members of Parliament have expressed dissatisfaction with the Electoral Commission for turning a blind eye to the escalating violence and impunity surrounding the Kawempe North by-election. They believe the Commission should act responsibly by announcing the winner instead of allowing innocent citizens to suffer. This comes after violent clashes during the National Unity Platform NUP rally at Kawempe grounds, where party members were subjected to tear gas and beating by military personnel. The atmosphere in Kawempe North is increasingly tense as by-election day set for 13th of this very month and year draws nearer. Candidates have been holding rallies to engage with voters since their nomination. However, the presence of heavy security, including the military, Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force JAT, and Special Forces Command SFC have raised concern about undermining the democratic process. Members of Parliament are questioning why the electoral process is militarized with the use of excessive force against civilians. Over 20 Ugandans, including opposition members of Parliament like Nyeko Derek of Machindia East, Muwadanku Nyingi and Abdallah Kiwanuka, were detained during the scuffle with security agencies. Deputy Speaker of Parliament Thomas Tayewa condemned the actions of the security operatives, stating that such behavior tarnishes the country's image. Commissioner of Parliament Matthias Mpuga emphasized that this situation is collective responsibility for all Ugandans, more so Parliament, to end the culture of impunity. Member of Parliament Anabastin Kasimire called for everyone's involvement in the violence to be held accountable. Top TV journalist Miracle Ibra was injured by security personnel while covering the event at Kawempe in the by-election process. His assault highlighted the growing concern over the treatment of media personnel during such political events.
Oh, well, and finally moving on to the foreign scene, Arab leaders approve $53 billion alternative to Trump's Gaza plan. Now, a $53 billion reconstruction plan to rival President Donald Trump's idea for the U.S. to take over Gaza and move out more than 2 million Palestinians has been approved by Arab leaders at an emergency summit in the Egyptian capital, Cairo. The Egypt plan is now an Arab plan, announced the Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Aboul Gate, at the end of this hours-long gathering. Without referring specifically to President Trump's ideas, he underlined that the Arab stance is to reject any displacement, whether it is voluntary or forced. Egypt had produced a detailed blueprint with a 91-page glossy document, including images of leafy neighborhoods and grand public buildings to counter a U.S. scheme labeled as Middle East Riviera, which shocked the Arab world and beyond. What sets this new plan apart is it's not just about property development, its banners and our politics and the rights of Palestinians. In his opening remarks, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also called for a parallel plan alongside the physical reconstruction to move towards what is known as the two-state solutions, a Palestinian state alongside Israel. This is widely seen by Arab states and many others as the only lasting solution to this perpetual conflict, but it is firmly ruled out by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his allies. Zelensky vows to make things right with Trump and negotiate peace. Volodymyr Zelensky said he was ready to work under Donald Trump's strong leadership to achieve a lasting peace days after their explosive Oval Office meeting. The Ukrainian president described the White House showdown as regrettable in a lengthy social media post in the wake of the U.S. announcing a pause in military aid to Kiev. Zelensky said it was time to make things right after Trump had accused him of not being ready to come to the negotiating table. The Ukrainian leader also outlined the first stages of how the war could be ended. We are ready to work fast and to end the war, and to end the war first stages could be the release of prisoners and truce in the sky, ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs on energy and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in sea immediately. If Russia will do the same, he wrote, then we want to move very fast through all the next stages and to work with the U.S. to agree a strong final deal. In his social media post, Zelensky said Friday's meeting did not go the way it was supposed to be, adding it's regrettable that it happened this way. He wrote, it's time to make things right. We would like to future cooperation and communication to be constructive. Now, looking at what we have in the press, looking at the new vision, mergers, 86 billion Uganda shillings released for affected staff. That is in the new vision as the headline. And we can see that 1.2 trillion Uganda shillings has been disbursed to start implementation of revised new structures. That is on page 5 of the new vision. But also looking at Masulita Children's Home to get budgetary allocation. And there is a picture of the home with its facilitators there. And in the picture, Vice President Major General Jessica Alupo with the State Minister of Youth and Children Affairs, Balam Barugahara, Chinese Ambassador to Uganda, Zhang Lizong, and his wife, Ling Yagun, Executive Director of UNESCO, Masulita Children's Home, Jolie Kamugira, and other officials at Uweso there in the picture. But still looking at the new vision, Uganda Airlines London route to boost trade. That is on page 9 of the new vision. And inside the Total magazine is a picture of a very beautiful young lady. And also looking at Kawempe North debate, candidates share manifestos, page 6 to 7 of the new vision, and copyright, what it means for artists, page 8 of the new vision. But also how Cheyoman lost 20 billion to witch doctor in a church. Page 3 of the new vision has more of that story. And quickly looking at the Daily Monitor, who are they? Masking terror, the emergence of masked personnel of the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force who brutalized civilians on Monday has shone a light on the increasing culture of having security operatives masked up during operations. Who are they? What is their motivation? And what do they fear? Stories of that on page 2, 3, and 4 of the Daily Monitor. And also in the Daily Monitor, Natasha Rubandiri's visionary designs for homes and real estate, that is, and also 85% of government jobs are driven through bribery, says IGG, page 5 of the Daily Monitor. That's a quick look at the press, and about a minute to 7 a.m. It's Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba Musisi. Robert Chirabo is with me, and we are still on. The show has just started. In case you have just joined us, you're not yet so late. A lot is still your way.
Ky'omuntu oyo abeera ajjukira omutonzi we Allah kamathali lhayyi afaanaganako ng'omuntu omulamu agamba nti walladhi la yadhkuru rabbahu ate atajjukira omutonzi we Allah kamathali lmayyit afaanaganako ng'omuntu olwekyo omuntu olina kuwangaala ng'ojjukira yamutonda ebindabire munyenkane bitukozire twembi kunda katimbalo utara kuzire nyenka katora no mubenji mukama kozire byamani mukamba chomukono gwa pamani yina kasheko ninsheka mukama kanyishuruze chikopo barasha babeire ne bansheka tinchi firiho yina kasheko ninsheka mukama kanyishuruze chikopo barasha babeire ne bansheka tinchi firiho n'omubiri gwonna n'oloninya muntu we nikikira omutima gundi hamwe n'agamba bange tegeeza mutima lwaki yali ategeeza omutima bumala obudde oli mulongoofu n'agamba nti gundi oyo alina omutima oli omulinye ng'ayogera ekintu ekyo sigamba nti musawo wa mitima oba yagukebeddwa wabula kisinziira ku bikolwa byo by'okola birongoosa omutima oba birongoosa omubiri oba bigwona by'okola omutima gwo bye gukola bye bifulumira ku mubiri gwo abantu ne batandika okulyagira either mulungi oba mubi olwekyo abantu baba basobola okulaba nti olina omutima oba omulungi olwo ate omutonzi longoosa omutima gwo guveemu okukakanyala waliwo emitima n'ebika bisatu waliwo assalim waliwo omulamu newabeerawo almarid newabeerawo omulwadde walmayit newabeerawo n'omutima omufu naye emitima egyo gyonna egy'ebika ebisatu Allah ayagalako omutima gumu nga gwe mulamu yagamba suratu shuara ti yauma la yanfau maalu wala banun kiseera kijja kutuuka sente n'abaana nga tebirina mugaso gwonna ebigasa eri muntu yenna n'agamba nti illa man ata llaha biqalbin salim okujjako yanasinkana Allah ng'alina omutima omulamu n'olwekyo omutima gusobola okulwala gusobola okufa netwana nnyo okuma omutima gw'omulamu gusobola okubeera munsi guno olimuntu wabukunanyinaoyanamusinkana ng'ayinamusinkana Allah talina gweyetonderamu omutima omufu wabula nsheka mukama kanyishuruze chikopo barajaba beyene bansheka ayayogera ku mutima omulamu omufu omulwadde n'agamba nti fe qulubihim maradun gusangibwa n'obulwadde ofuna obulwadde kwebyo ebikolwa byokola Allah agamba nti fazaadahumullahu marada mbeera ng'ongerera obulwadde kasita osalawo okugulwaza Allah agwongera ne gulwalira ddala.
Peak of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. New public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN. Call all networks. Coupe Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 start to 1 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Junko. Yo. What? Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Kati omutima guno otagukontrolinga kukola birungi gugenda kukulagira okubeera ng'okola ebikyamu byona ggwera ng'ogusse.
International Women's Day is celebrated annually on 8th March. It is a time to reflect on progress made, to call for change and to celebrate acts of courage and determination played by women. On Saturday, 8th March, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. The national celebrations will be held in Jankwanzi district under the theme Accelerate Action for Gender Equality. The President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be the chief guest. Join us for the live broadcast to witness outstanding women receive medals in recognition of their achievements and contributions to the country. Happy Women's Day.
olw'okubeera nga bajjukirako Allah waabwe ne bamwogerako n'amala n'abuuza nti ala abaffe bidhikirillahi tatma'innul qulub, okujjukira Allah tekutereeza emitima. Yali tayagala ansa wabula yali abuuza ekintu ekyo naawe wennyini weebuulirire nakyo. Allah waba ambuuziza ate nga ye yantonda kino takimanyi abeera akimanyi.
About 6 minutes after 7 a.m. Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for continuing to choose UBC TV as we inspire you. And thank you so much for choosing Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. And on today's Reel on Good Morning Uganda, Works and Transport Minister Edward Katumba Wamala says that the plan to make it mandatory for every boda rider to have 2 helmets is on, one for the rider and the other for the passenger. And General Katumba said that this will help reduce the number of boda fatalities, road fatalities. Now, for many youths who do not easily find employment, the boda sector is the easy go-to, or is the savior for that matter. Now, to paint a picture, statistically, according to our report in the year 2022, the report released by the State Minister for Kampala, Kabuye Chofa, Dr. Togabye, indicated that out of 42,000 riders counted by Kampala City Authority, then only 157 met all the requirements of the job and hence had permits, insurance cover, logbooks, PSV license and national IDs. The report also showed that 94%, making 39,480 of the counted riders, had no driving permits and insurance cover. 73%, making 30,660, had no logbooks. 98%, making 41,160, had no national IDs. Now, the minister used these statistics to explain the boda mess in the city and road crashes involved. On that note, it is what we are discussing on The Reel today to throw more light and perspective from our angle and what we see as fellow Ugandans in this country. Uncle Bob, with that statistic laid, help us define the nature of the boda industry.
Well, thank you so much. Partly it has been defined in the statistics you've given, how many lack driving licenses. Also, it has given the number that is for Kampala, because many never turned up, by the way, for that registration.
Yes, I remember.
But a few. Now, let's look at this industry first. As we talk about the boda industry, what are we talking about? I want to tell you, nationally, it is one of the fastest growing sector.
It is.
And the mistake people do is you look at the rider, but you don't look at those importing the bikes. You don't look at those assembling the bikes, because now you have so many who import these bikes in parts and they are assembled here. Actually, a majority of those motorcycles are assembled here now, but they bring the parts. You don't look at the clearing agents. You don't look at those loading and offloading. You know, the boda sector is employing so many people. I might say it could even be not only the fastest, but the most employing sector. Now, because a young man wakes up, sells a plot or makes some money somewhere, goes to someone and pays almost 5%, he's given a motorcycle, which they call a loan, or boda banja. He rides as he's paying. Within 2 years, that motorcycle becomes his. The moment you get a motorcycle, that boda, you begin making money. People even have a saying that a boda will tell the wife, take a car mazi, ga kaunga kanzije. You can sleep without a penny.
The moment you set it on the
Then
road.
you just tell the wife, put on water for, start boiling water for posho. Drives from here around Garden City, returns, he has the money for posho. 2, you're talking of requirements, but these are within the law. But practically, these requirements are not a necessity. Because 1, even the logbook of the motorcycle, the person who gave this person the loan has the logbook, he has not yet finished. Driving license, who asks a boda rider, show me your license. Riding skills, I'm a biker myself, but it's one of the easiest bikes. I won't mention the brand, but we all know that Bajaj is very common. Of course, now there are other brands like Weju and what, but it's one of the easiest to ride.
Even in fuel consumption.
Fuel consumption. It's not like you're going to ride a BMW, or you're going to ride a NC, or you're going to ride a Pasola that is bulky and all that. No. So it's easy now. It has employed most of the uneducated or fairly educated youth in this country. Many that would have no jobs are being employed by this sector. But I want to tell you the nature of people employed therein are people who have no respect for ethics, are people of a certain caliber. Not to say that now we're not even having graduates, because a few graduates have understood it's very useless to sit with your degree, yet you can't fend for yourself. COVID-19 brought in a number of teachers, many who never went back to the teaching profession, and they chose to stay in the border industry. But by and large, I would say 80% of these are illiterate or semi-illiterate people in this industry. So that is the nature of people we are talking about, but they are so huge. You're talking about 40,000 in Kampala. I must say this profession could be employing even about 2 million Ugandans out of the 45 million Ugandans we have.
Yes, and it is largely an informal sector. What do you think? Why do you think it's hard to make it formal? Because, like you've mentioned, of course, the type of citizens it employs, but also regulating it is hard. A few things have been put here and there, a few policies have been put here and there, but it's still hard.
One,
still very hard.
like we said first, these are illiterate or semi-illiterate, majority of them. Now, if you're to carry on enforcement, and I want to emphasize, and I hope our viewers get me very clear on this, most of the mistakes we make is we push for fear, not respect. You can do that. I've seen many husbands at home, they want to be feared. They will shout, they will do this. They're pushing for fear. I've seen mothers who brought us up, they're pushing for fear, and they misunderstand fear for respect. When a man parks and all the children, everyone scatters, say, yeah. At home they respect me. Now, our government mistakes enforcement with compliance. Now, whenever you push enforcement, you don't get results. Enforcement goes in tandem with sensitization, creating awareness. We are dealing with illiterate or semi-illiterate people. Now, our government, most of the times, Ministry of Works and Transport, Uganda Police Force, has emphasized and put more money into enforcement than sensitization. That is why it is not yielding. A young man who was born in Kasoga Kakuto, almost going to Mitukura or any remote area. The father has a plantation. He may not have land because of land fragmentation, but he says, I've been able to get these 3 million because now it's about 5 point something. Can you do something? Now this young man, a friend tells him, with that money you can come to Kampala, you stay with me for a short time, you get a border. You know, very soon. He's not even aware of the city very well. Now, this young man with all arrivalism to Kampala, he's taken to get a motorcycle. A colleague who came first teaches him a few, they take him to a playground. In a minute, he sees
that he can handle.
It takes not even a whole day. He can move. No, he starts taking people short distances, then he masters. Now, when you tell that person that you need a driving license, he'll think and say, what don't I know? But you see the traffic lights, the road furniture, they'll tell you this is one way, the road signs, defensive riding, abiding. That person will not understand. Now it is worsened when he's riding and he's stopped and the motorcycle is loaded on a breakdown and taken to a police station. And there he's told the breakdown is 20,000. At the police, you're given an express penalty ticket, maybe of about 65,000. Then he's told the police officer clearing these things, so he pays a bribe. And most of the times this is done when children are going back to school. Because logically, And I also had an issue with this, and what has explained to me, that when kids are going, when students or people are going back to school, there are so many accidents. Most of these, some are driven back to school on borders, a mattress and everything. So there is enforcement. Some are done during Christmas, and someone will say, Katibano nyaza sekukuru. But that fact is, during Christmas, there are so many accidents. Everyone is rushing to that village, and so police comes up with these operations. Now, to explain that to the kind of person I'm talking about, he will say, when these people are broke, government needs money, they will come for us. How best have you sensitized this person? That is why you'll find that someone will tell you, why must I put on a reflector jacket? For you, it may be obvious that, yes, for better visibility, someone may drive, but maybe his mind is on something else. But as they're approaching you and this reflection happens, it brings them back to say there is someone
ahead of me.
That's why you see a number of them have crash helmets, and they just put them here in front of where there is the light.
Yes.
When they see a police officer, they put it on. The moment they move. Because... Now,
allow me interject on that matter. You've talked about a police officer. I indeed followed this story when Honorable Wamala was, talking about the future plan of having borders have 2 helmets. And it's not yet implemented. That means it's not yet already on the roll. However, many times we find that police is arresting borders over different issues. And one of them I know is in regards to having 2 helmets. It wasn't yet a widely known law to be implemented, but at least either they'll be arrested for not having a helmet at all, which is already rolling on the road implementation of road safety rules. But 2 helmets, I understand, I've met a couple of people who have expressed the fact that they've been stopped even as passengers why they are not wearing a helmet. No. And now I wonder, now that it was uttered, it was said, this was covered yesterday, from today onwards, you've talked about law enforcement, police briberies on the roads, number of road accidents, and it all comes from that point. I wonder what it's going to look like with now these young lads who haven't gone to school. They learn borders in their own ways, not that they go to driving schools or riding schools at that. I doubt they even probably take time to watch the news to know what's going on, to know that they need 2 helmets. From today, let's say, I believe somewhere, there will be operations on the roads trying to get to arrest them for not having 2 helmets. And yet this was said that for a border that is being bought, 2 helmets should be sold. Yes. They bought their border with 1 helmet. Right now you're arresting them because they don't have a second helmet. They even have no clue or idea on what you're talking about.
Well, very interesting situation, but it's the way to go. First and foremost, why do we see emphasis on helmets? Let's begin with that. As a rider for many years, one thing I've learned, of course, for us, we're in organized institutions. We're in organized groups. When you talk about the Uganda Bikers, Central Riders, Gaba Riders, we have a number of associations. Now, we carry out sensitization. We have clips we share how helmets save lives. We have rules. You can't move with us without a helmet. Now,
is there a say in how these helmets are also made? Because I understand.
Let's first understand why they prioritize, because
helmets.
When you're a rider, we have so many protective gears.
Yes.
So many. If I'm to cover myself having everything, there are so many. But why the helmet is the most important? When I break this arm, because of ever, I'll go to the orthopedics, they'll work on it, and the arm will come back. I mean, if I get a fracture, we've had this even locally. They can work on you and you get fine. When I break a leg, still the same. Now, when you crush your head, there is no repair. You die, or even if you recover, you might get a permanent brain injury, and you lose everything within you. There is so much. So this head on a human body is very, very, not that other parts are not, but it is very complicated. So much happens here. The brain coordinates and speaks, even moving my hands.
It's the engine.
Even the fact that I'm talking, everything is coordinated here. But unfortunately, if this is hurt, there is nothing they can give me. So we prioritize the helmet to protect the head, because most of the times in these accidents, I don't know what happens, the head will hit down. And if it's not protected, it is very hard for you, one, to recover, two, even if you recovered, to stay in your normal senses. So that's why they prioritize having a crash helmet.
All right.
Now, for a passenger, most of the accidents, actually, I don't know for what reason, because when you're riding, you're the body.
Yeah,
it's not like in a car where you're protected.
Yes.
Now, most of the times, the passengers are more hurt than the riders, because I may see that accident coming. Psychologically, my body gets prepared. You know, there is a way, there's reflex action, that you immediately, your body, even I may see that I'm bumping in this. So either my legs have put them down, I've held the horns of the bike so much. Now for you at the back, you're unaware. So most of the time, the passenger is more hurt than the actual rider. But when you don't do sensitization, Julie with her natural hair well worked on, she may find it hard, most of where I have challenges in enforcement, to wear that helmet. I've seen some brands, not for advertisement, but you know, Safe Border.
Yes.
Initially, they had 2 helmets.
They did, yes.
And they would arrest their people who are transporting people without 2 helmets. But these guys got frustrated because he would move with 2 helmets, one his, another here, and every passenger would desist. Now, coupled with our enforcement, because I've traveled to a certain country, not very far from here, and you could hardly see a passenger seated on a motorcycle without a helmet. So we have poor enforcement. And what I mean by poor enforcement is manpower is an issue. That is one. Corruption is an issue. That is 2. And enforcement that has not gone with sensitization is an issue. The country I won't mention, 2 helmets are a must. Now, like we have installation of these number plates. If a motorcycle can't live without the installation, let it not live without the 2 helmets. 2, if you're going to enforce, let it be that this motorcycle is put there. When a person goes and brings a helmet, maybe there's a slight fine and takes the motorbike. But this is what will happen. The bike is parked, go and bring a second helmet, or go and buy a second helmet to prove that you have 2 helmets, because it is a passenger motorbike. Now, when the young man comes with a helmet, he has maybe a receipt or an express penalty, something, then again he's told by some, not all, I want to emphasize, by some, we have so many good police officers in our forces. There are so very many, most of the top ranks. I don't know, maybe the juniors because of, I want to be a devil's advocate. But many of them, the corruption. Now, worsened by KCCA. KCCA, they are called traffic wardens. If Uganda police can eliminate those people, they have tarnished enforcement of border motorcycles. Please talk to KCCA leadership.
All right. Sensitization indeed is a fact. It's a key point that should be looked into and actually handled with a lot of intention. Now, allow me also invite you to be a part of the conversation. 0709602592 is the number that you send your WhatsApp message to. Share your opinion. We are talking road safety matters, and the Ministry of Works is making it mandatory for all border riders to have 2 helmets. In other words, any motorbike, for that matter, that leaves its shop must leave its shop with 2 helmets. Maybe
to add on, Julie,
yes,
it means you, the passenger who is going to sit on this motorcycle, you must have a helmet. You must have a crash helmet.
And allow me, in fact, to ask on that. For now, before the process of buying a new one, there are many borders already existing and on the roads in Kampala. Don't you think there should be a burden placed on us who use borders, the passengers, that if you want to use a border as a passenger, perhaps buy your own helmet? Because I see passengers who actually own helmets.
more so the whites that come in this country, the foreigners that come in this country.
Yes.
You'll see many of them move with a crash helmet in
their hands,
in their hands for hygienic purposes. Because also I find it a bit challenging. I'm looking for a better and polite word to say. Hygiene is relative.
Yeah. Yes.
Some of us love short hair that you can wash very comfortably with soap in the morning.
And in the night.
Now you're going to find a rasta. Some of them, I don't know when they last wash their hair. They are dread. Some are very clean, I must say, genuinely clean, and they invest in that hair.
Yeah.
Some it leaves lots to be desired. You find a lady maybe who takes I don't know how long, and they have, of course, what you put in your head. So hygienically, I would find a discomfort getting a helmet that I've found on a border rider on his bike. A day that person can transport up to 50 people.
Yes.
Or more so on a lucky day. Now, Julie has put it on, Robert has put it on, and you see borders don't anyone is taken. Now, for hygienic purposes, I find that disturbing.
And I would
However,
appreciate, yes.
It is very useless for you to have the swag and think about hygiene.
Hygiene when you lose
Then
a
as you move from here, you're crushed and gone.
And speaking into hygiene, I would appreciate the brand that you mentioned earlier on. Whenever they had, the riders had to put helmets, they'd also give you a net to put on you over your head before you wear that helmet, which I thought was...
But was that net per passenger? It wasn't per passenger. You get it? So, potato. Because if Julie, you're giving me that crash helmet, you give me a net. A net Julie has put it on, have put it on, Ruben has put it on.
From my experience, it was for passenger. You always go with your net. You never return. Yeah.
So each passenger.
In fact, I collected quite a number of them because I'd get from every ride, I'd use experience and have my own net. Then on top of the net, put on that helmet.
Maybe if that works, but we must tell Ugandans. That's why I said sensitization is very important. Then also styles, women, the way they do their hair. This take no offense in it. Someone has just left the salon with that proper stylish, the baby hair. Some have, you call them weaves. These that have human.
Whichever way you understand it, it's hair.
And some, I see my better half, some go as 450.
Yes, they are very expensive.
And once she has it on, my friend, it is trouble, you know.
I mean, because you have to glue your,
the makeup and all that. So unless you're going to have effective enforcement, that someone will know I cannot move anywhere.
Yes.
If I'm going to use a border and I don't have this. But where we still have the weaknesses in enforcement, where someone will tell you, where are you going to say, so it's complicated,
now
but it's the best solution to save the 53% of accidents, of which the 53% are a result of border crashes.
Allow me to read a few of the comments that are coming through as we bring this to a close. Good morning, presenters. The issue of borders in the city is a big issue that is costing people their lives due to their recklessness. This is Kaira, and somebody else comes through and says, Obed from Kakoba Mbarara, thanks for the show and a very good morning. Road safety is an important aspect of almost all people that use the road. The crash helmet policy is important to both the rider and the passenger, but implementation for two people seems challenging. Most women with their made-up hair will not put the helmets on. And again, if so, I think it should be the responsibility of the passenger to escort themselves with their own helmets. Because the requirements for one to operate a border are becoming very many and costly, of which the fares the passenger offer are minimal. Another thing, it will be a healthy threat to the lives of passengers by sharing that helmet with different people, which may even take long to be cleaned. You
can get Mpox from that.
Mpox, I also thought about the same, yes. Mpox indeed. And one last one. Safety on the roads, okay. The challenge is illiterate participants who are neglected in helping border riders in times of need. Dubious loan deals where many lose money to fake borrowers, no security, etc. Helmets are good and important to the riders and passengers, but passengers don't want to put on the helmets. I suggest that arrests be limited to serious crimes than overstaying someone's 5M motorcycle for small cases until until it gets rotten. And the other thing is put all border riders within Kampala Metropolitan under companies. You know, you've mentioned the companies the companies that we usually apply for on apps, and the government can put in money, as this will help combat crimes as tracking devices are used. Thank you so much.
But Judy, one last thing, very brief.
As we conclude.
Yes. I also want to talk about the quality. I don't know which body, but I want to believe this Uganda Bureau of Standards. The quality of helmets we have, as glass, as balloons, and may not save. If you're talking about a crash, that's why I was using all the time the word crash helmet. These helmets go as far as 250,000. Now that is 500 for a border to have. So you need to check, because it's very useless to think you're covered and you land down and you're not.
Yes.
So you also must look at the quality. But of course, one step at a time. Let's begin by having, then maybe we shall look at the quality as well.
All right, that's it for today's Reel on Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. And indeed, helmets are very important. Helmets protect not just the cyclist, but also you as a passenger. So if possible, before even the Ministry of Works and the government implement this rule and the law of having 2 border helmets, buy yourself one. It might not be a crash helmet for now, but at least you can get a 50,000 and buy yourself an ordinary helmet as you plan to buy a crash helmet to protect yourself, because safety starts with you. It's a personal initiative. Good Morning Uganda does continue. We are having the agenda, business, tourism, and sports, and a lot more, so stay tuned.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
International Women's Day is celebrated annually on 8th March. It is a time to reflect on progress made, to call for change, and to celebrate acts of courage and determination play by women. On Saturday, 8th March, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. The national celebrations will be held in Changwanzi district under the theme Accelerate Action for Gender Equality. The President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be the chief guest. Join us for the live broadcast to witness outstanding women receive medals in recognition of their achievements and contributions to the country. Happy Women's Day.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the Parish Development Model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sewatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are,
but you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and we are coming live to you from Gaddafi Mosque this morning. Good morning, my name is Zakia Laki and welcome on the GMU Tourism Express. As we all know, it's a profound time for our Muslim brothers and sisters who are celebrating one of their special times, which is fasting or Ramadan. Now, there's so much for those of you that are not familiar with this particular period. This is when Muslims are trying to connect spiritually with their faith and giving up on so many things, but most importantly, abstaining from drinking and eating. It's not just abstaining from food and drinks, but also this is a period of high-end self-discipline, empathy. There's a lot of generosity and charity, and this is a special time of their moments. Now, for those of you, especially the Christians, we usually wait for the longer period when Eid is being celebrated, but make it easy for them as they go through this period, and also combine your prayers for them to achieve whatever they are fasting for during this period. And this in the tourism industry is termed as religious tourism. We are going to be seeing how to connect the religious faith or the Muslim faith with the Gaddafi Mosque. If you do not know about this now, make it a point to be with us for 3 days to get to know about this period, get to know about this mosque and the Islamic faith. Like we told you, it's a very special time for our Muslim brothers and sisters. Going back to our fellows, the Christians, usually they're waiting for that last day to have an invitation to come and enjoy Eid. But for this particular time, we have our tour guide that will be telling us more about this mosque, the Gaddafi Mosque, and the Islam faith. So, sir, you're going to introduce yourself to the viewers, giving us a brief introduction about the Gaddafi Mosque.
Yeah. So, dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome you back to this mosque, and I want to make a brief introduction about this mosque. This mosque, first of all, it's the biggest mosque in the sub-Sahara region. This mosque is the headquarters of the Muslim community of Uganda. And this mosque is popularly called Gaddafi Mosque due to his effort towards this project. Financially, whatever you see here was paid for by the Libyan government.
Okay.
And this work took 3 years to be completed, from 2003 to 2006. However, the idea of hosting a mosque here was caused by the former government of Idi Amin over 50 years back. So it was Amin who gave out this land to the Muslim community, and also through his effort, he was able to solicit for grants that enabled the construction to begin. However, By 1979, the work was not ready, done. So that's when Amin's government was forcefully removed from power. So the change of the government here also affected the project. So everything here was abandoned for over 20 years until when Gaddafi was invited by the Muslim leaders to come and make a contribution. So Gaddafi team arrived here and began the construction in 2003 by replacing the old foundation, which was actually which had been delayed here for so many years. Yeah. So that work ended in 2006 before the inauguration of the mosque in 2008. Yeah.
Okay, so how big is this mosque and how many people can it accommodate?
Actually, I'm not so conversant with the right measurements of the building, but what I can tell is that the capacity of this building, together with the open space, can accommodate to around 25,000 people. Yeah. So that is the capacity of the building. And I mean the building and the site. Yeah.
Okay, so looking at the location, was it would it have a history why it was put in place here? Probably is the neighborhood a Muslim community, or?
You know, before we came here, or before the Muslim activities were introduced here, this land was much popular because of the historic background caused by those British agents who were sent here purposely to unite the different kingdoms and kingdoms under one state called Uganda. So those people, when they arrived here, they were allowed to come and settle here by the king of Buganda. Then later, after the unification, these people gained more administrative powers from those individual groups. And that's how they chose to relocate from here. But before relocating, they gazetted this land as a monument.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was abandoned until when the government came and gave it away to the Muslim community. Otherwise, there was no much other Islamic activities around here which would have caused the presence, the presence of the activities now. Yeah.
And what are some of those activities that are in this place?
Right as you have learned that this is a prayer place. So most of the activities, most of the tradition of Islam, you can easily acquire them from here. Yeah. When we come here, first of all, we come to pray. We come to pray like in this room. We normally come here on Fridays for our special prayers. We also conduct weddings right here. We conduct funeral services right here, and also some other religious gatherings or seminars can be also conducted from here. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Now, talking about the fasting period, give us a brief background about the Ramadan period itself.
The Ramadan period normally attracts many people to be here. Some people come here as early as around 10 in the morning. They sit inside the mosque or somewhere around, memorizing the Quran, doing their azkaris or supplications to the Almighty God. And also in the evening, Yeah, sometimes we get some kind Muslims, organizations coming here and spreading iftar among the people here to have something when breaking the fasting.
And how long does this period take, the fasting period?
Well, the fasting period normally takes 30 days or 29, depending on the appearance or the reverse, the revealing of the crescent. Yeah.
So what are some of the practices that are observed during this period of Ramadan?
Yeah, we do the fasting, as you are aware.
Yes.
We also come here for our Ramadan Tarawih prayers. Yeah. And also, yeah, those are some of the some of the activities which normally comes here, happens here during Ramadan.
Yes, and talking about the faith, or the spiritual faith that these people are seeking during this period, what are some of the things that they have to abstain from?
Well, you have first of all to abstain from taking meals, okay?
Yes.
And you abstain from, we as people, we sometimes we make mistakes, knowingly or unknowingly. So during this time of Ramadan, it's a time whereby you reflect your own soul and see where we went wrong. And you see what really has caused you to part away from God, okay? And do so many other things outside there. So when you come here on Ramadan, or not even during Ramadan, but any time, because God is merciful, so you just seek His mercy through implementing all the traditions of Islam, praying 5 times every day, loving one another. If you have something to give out to the poor people, give it out, okay? If you want someone who wants to get something to eat at home, and you have surplus in your pocket, you can give to him. So these are the things which brings us back to recognize the oneness of the Almighty, so that we can seek His protection when we have identified our mistakes and we are ready to part away from those mistakes. Yeah.
Yes, so I'm learning that this is a time of reflection to one's soul. This is a time to repent. This is a time to also follow these pillars. This is a reflection to one's soul during this period. It's a very nice one for the Muslims, where they are reflecting, seeking for forgiveness, and being kind to one another. And that was it for Ramadan. But as you know, this is about religious tourism, and this week is especially dedicated to the Muslims. So stick with us at the same time as we tell you what is there to see about the Gaddafi Mosque.
Well, welcome back from GMU Tourism Express, a point that has encouraged every Muslim out there to reflect during this month of Ramadan. Welcome to GMU Business. Julie F. Nantaba Mosisi is my name, and we are looking at Airtel Mobile Commerce Uganda Limited in partnership with MasterCard, Diamond Trust Bank, and Network International is leading the charge to help Ugandans tap into growing global digital economy, especially as the country continues to embrace mobile technology. Now, with the launch of the Airtel Money Global Pay Card, Ugandans now have a secure and convenient way to make international payments, opening doors to global services such as online shopping. With the rise of digital transactions and the increasing adoption of mobile technology in Uganda, this launch marked a significant milestone in bridging the gap between local and global digital economies. Airtel's new offering is set to empower Ugandans to engage with the expanding global digital economy, particularly as the country continues to embrace mobile technology. Now, Japhet Ariho, the managing director of Airtel Mobile Commerce Uganda Limited, emphasized that this launch is a step towards making Uganda a more connected and digitally inclusive nation. Lenin Oyuga, head of Telco Digital Partnerships at MasterCard for the Middle East and Africa, echoed similar sentiments, stating that this initiative extends digital payments and expands financial inclusion across the country. This card enables users to make secure international payments, providing them with access to global services. And according to the Bank of Uganda, mobile money transactions surged to an astounding 191 trillion shillings in the year leading up to June 2023, making a remarkable 23% increase from the previous year. As mobile technology continues to redefine how Ugandans interact with the global economy, this new card ensures that they have tools to engage more actively, securely, and efficiently in digital transactions. Now, moving on to matters agriculture, Uganda has stepped up the fight against invasive alien species that are threatening agriculture and biodiversity. Minister of State for Agriculture Fred Bwino Kyakulaga told a high-level meeting aimed at strengthening Uganda's capacity to manage these threats that there is need for policies, legal frameworks to combat the growing crisis. Now, the Food and Agriculture Organization's country representative, Dr. Antonio Querido, warned that invasive species have devastating impact on food security and ecosystems. Academicians and researchers have convened to strengthen Uganda's capacity in managing invasive species, which are a threat to biodiversity, agriculture, and food security. And the initiative, funded by the European Union, the International Fund for Agriculture Development, and the Center for Agriculture and Bioscience International, aims to curb the spread of destructive species such as golden duda and Panthenium weeds. The Minister of State for Agriculture, Fred Bwino Kyakulaga, emphasized the urgent need for policies, legal frameworks, research, and public awareness campaigns to mitigate their spread. Food and Agriculture Organization country representative Dr. Antonio Querido said invasive species as a global crisis. Now, Dr. Stephen Maguma from the Ministry of Agriculture warned that invasive species are a major risk to agri-food systems and wildlife. And senior entomologist at NARO, Dr. Kasifa Katono, said community engagement programs to address the crisis. So early detection, community awareness, and stricter enforcement at ports and borders are strategies to control the spread and protect Uganda's ecosystem. Now, having a quick look at the forex currencies today, as of 4th March 2025, the US dollar opened at 3,671.45, dropped a bit there, and selling at 3,681.5. And at midday, it was buying at 3,670.95 and selling at 3,680.95. Now, the pound took a notch higher, buying at 4,660.27 and selling at 4,672.96. And the euro was also high at 3,847.15 and selling at 3,857.63. The Kenyan shilling maintained a little at 28.41 and buying and selling at 28.49 selling, and the Tanzanian shilling as well, buying at 1.41 and selling at 1.42. The South African rand was buying at 197.02 and selling at 197.56. At about 5 on to 8 a.m. in the morning, Good Morning Uganda does continue. We have the agenda coming up, and the sports action will also be coming on a little later on.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know. You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
International Women's Day is celebrated annually on 8th March. It is a time to reflect on progress made, to call for change, and to celebrate acts of courage and determination play by women. On Saturday, 8th March, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. The national celebrations will be held in Changwanzi district under the theme Accelerate Action for Gender Equality. The President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be the chief guest. Join us for the live broadcast to witness outstanding women receive medals in recognition of their achievements and contributions to the country. Happy Women's Day.
Junko. Yo. Wachiko. Check the shopping man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are,
but you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Amanya gange nti Walwali Research chairperson wa Bwayisetu Sako era nga ndi mutuuze wa Bwayisetu ng'omuluka era wano wenyimiridde we wali office ya PDM Sako ya Bwayisetu. Wano we tuli ye zone emu ku zone ezikola omuluka gwa Bwayisetu nga Bwayisetu tulina zone 8. Emirimu gyange emitongole gyandibadde emikulu nga ssentebe wa Bwayisetu Sako. Emirimu egyange nina kuteekesa nkola ebyo gavumenti byebeewereza mu Sako zaffe, nina okubiriza bammemba bange ne bakulembeze bannange tuteekese ebyo byeteekeddwa okukola mu Bwayisetu, tusobole olaba nga Bwayisetu at least mu Kampala okutwaliza mu Kawempe division Bwayisetu yekulembera, era nga bwe kiri nti mu Kampala district sikwewaana naye Bwayisetu eri ku ntikko, era nga moto yaffe bwegamba nti Bwayisetu ku ntikko mu nkola ya PDM President Museveni gye yatuleetera ng'abawejjere. Okutwaliza wamu mu Bwayisetu tulinamu enterprise wakati zigenzeyongerako olw'abammemba abapya abasinga obungi balimanyi bya bulimba naye bwe bamala omanya ne bannaabwe abamu bafunye ku ssente kati bajja beeyongera bweyongezi. Enterprise twali tulina zaali 15 era enterprise ezo tulinamu mudaala chapati atoninyira osinga atoninyira ng'erimu parts singa 3 toninyira ABC tulinamu manda naye ba beneficiaries baffe bo bambi nja kusooka neebazi President Museveni atwala eggwanga Uganda era President waffe omulungi yatulowoozaako mu nkola PDM. Abawejjere bange mu enterprise zaffe zetukola bo bakola era basanyufu n'essente zaabaweebwa olw'ensonga nti bammemba bange abamu ssente baali bazeewola mu bamanerenda. Olwaleero luno tewakyali lutalo lwa bamanerenda kuba n'endagamuntu zaabwe zaali zaatwalibwa, naye wenjogerera kati endagamuntu zaffe zonna weziri era bw'otuuka ku bizinensi zaabwe zeeyongedde okukula, zikulidde ddala. Osiŋŋaana oli nga capital erina mitwalo emeka? Emitwalo 2, naye gwe tereeza okukwasa akakadde. Ffe abamu tugenda oyingira mu PDM nga n'akakadde tumanyi okukola ki bwe kafaanana, naye olwaleero luno ndowooza mulaba n'akabuto katandise okujja olwa ssente za PDM ezajja, era ffe nga bwayisetu tuli basanyufu n'enteekateeka ya gavumenti yatuleetera. Puroguramu eno ebadde ennungi kuba ffe abamu tetwandimanyikiddwa, naye olaba katumanyikiddwa. Oli ajja n'agamba chairman olwa PDM. So tuli basanyufu olwa PDM etufudde abantu abaawamu. Tulina ebintu bye tutuuseeko olwa PDM nti katwafuka omuntu omu mu PDM mujjiddemu ebibiina ebyenjawulo byetufoominze nga munno mukabi, tulina mu junior abantu basevinga akasente kaabwe ak'omwaka. Jjukira PDM eri ku mulamwa gw'okusevinga omuntu asobole okubaako n'akasente ke mu nsawo. So wantu watandise osevinga akasente ak'omwaka era nga nakutukakoya mu ssako yaffe. Omwaka bugunaggwako tugenda okwesanga buli muntu oba buli muwejjere wange ng'ayina y'ataano, ayina y'enkaaga, ayina y'ensanvu, ayina y'ekinaana. So PDM etuyambye nnyo, etuyambidde ddala. Nja kukoowoola pulezidenti omwagalwa omulungi kuba ssente zino bwe yazituwa mu miruka. Emiruka gyaffe yeerabya Kampala yongayo abawejjere bangi nnyo abagirimu era abawejjere bangi nnyo Abafirika abataafuna ki ssente era byebimu ku bisoomooza bye tuyina. Oyita ku memba omuwejjere agamba ffe mwatubuuka mwalabamu bammwe naye ng'ate jjukira buli obukadde 10 owaweebwa buli muluka. Muno nga kabigambe bwayisetu erimu zooni 8. Buli zooni gy'onoosanga nti zooni erimu abantu abasukka mu 10 ebimeka 5. So obukadde 10 tugambe tebutwala yadde half ya zooni. So nandise President ekyo kirowoozeeko ng'abawejjere bo mukama waffe tukusaba ensonga eyo gikwasaganye. Tubadde ne opportunity era ndowooza ebintu ebimu ku gadgets z'opportunity ezatuweebwa oba ezatusuubizibwa twazifuna mu office era nazo zituyambyeko mu mulimu gwa President, omulimu gwa PDM nti tusobola collectinga data mu muluka gwaffe ne tuguyingiza mu system ne tubaako n'ebyo bye tusitandingako. Era kati nga bwayisetu ba beneficiaries baffe tetukyakuŋŋaanya mpapula wazira information tugisa mu system zaffe etuba tuyinabyo bulungi nnyo nga tetujja kumala kwetoola genda wa chairman gundi genda obireete. Ayogera nze ssentebe waba ssentebe ba Kawempe division nalondebwa mu bassentebe abatwala zissako mu Kawempe division kuba mu Kawempe division tulina mu ssako 22 naye nze nzikulira. So tujja saba kuba ekiri mu bwayisetu kyekiri ne mu miruka egy'enjawulo. Ebintu byaffe birowoozebweko n'abakulembeze bennyini abatwala zissako. Twewala tetwagala abakulembeze bakwate mu ssente za ssako olw'ensonga nti ssente zaaweebwa abakulembeze batambula bagenda mu nkiiko balina ze ssente zibassaamu naye nga jjukira nabo bafuna akakadde katya kamu. Pulezidenti olowooza akakadde ako oba okozesa ebintu ebyo. Office tetwaweebwa kintu kyonna naye ffe nga bwayisetu office twagikola nga ffe olw'okuba
Good morning, Uganda. If you have just joined us, welcome to Good Morning, Uganda. We are now on the agenda where we get to talk about different topics, different issues that affect you and I as Ugandans, but also bring experts to speak into these issues. If you've just joined us, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of UBC TV. My name is Julie F. Natabamusisi, and as we celebrate women this month and this whole week, we noticed that we've celebrated women in major sectors taking the lead and holding the mantle and being at the front line of major sectors in Uganda. On Monday, we looked at women, we celebrated women in environmental sustainability, but yesterday we also celebrated women in the health sector, and today is not any different because we are still celebrating women, and this time women leading in the education sector. So if you are very interested in matters education, now is the time for you to sit, watch, learn, share your perspective, and engage on WhatsApp. The number is 0709602592. In just a few seconds, we shall be talking to a powerful woman who is a leader in this education sector. So on that note, allow me introduce her to you and allow her talk to you. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
How are you?
I'm fine.
You seem a little cold. Was it cold out there?
Yeah.
Madam Nakamia Olivia.
Yes, please.
8th Women is coming up. 8th March, sorry, is coming up. How do you feel as a woman?
I feel great about this day. As a woman, I feel great. We have come this far because there was a time when women were nothing.
I know.
They were in the kitchen. They had no spokespersonal.
Yes.
No women MP. So if we have 8th March for women, it is a day to be celebrated.
Yes. Madam Olive Nakamia is the deputy head teacher of St. Elizabeth Nkowe SS. Now that means that she has a lot to say in regards to women in the education sector, because I believe she has a journey. She just didn't become a deputy head teacher just out of the blue. She started a journey, she took one step at a time, and here she is being celebrated on UBC TV and us listening and learning from her perspective in regards to her journey. And on that note, allow me start by asking you to share your journey. Was it a calling? Was it passion? Was it out of no choice that it was the only
no.
It was the only career available for you to take on? How does the journey for you to be in the education sector begin?
The journey for me to be in the education sector, of course, began when my parents took me to school. That was long way in the 80s. They took me to school at St. Anne's Day Preparatory Boarding Primary School, Kayunga. Then I had my P7 with them. Then I joined St. Joseph Senior Secondary School, Nagalama. From senior 1, that was 92 to 95. Thereafter, I went back for my HSC. But while I was doing my senior 4, I had two dream careers. That was either being a lawyer or a teacher. So what happened, when my results for senior 4 came back, I had not done well, though I had a first grade, but to me it was not my best, because I was a 9 material, but somewhere on the way I languished.
You dropped the ball.
Yeah. So I got 23. I cried. Then,
and yet it still was good.
It was good, but it was not my dream.
Yeah, you are a go-getter from the start.
Now my friends talked to me and told me, Olivia, if you went back to Nagalama, you'll make it to campus. So after getting that 23, I was like, let me go back. But this time when I went back, I purposed not to go off board. Actually, my HSC, I got to a point where my friends were calling me a bookworm. But I had a dream, because in my family, my dad was like, I do not pay for your university. Your brains buys you an institution you're going to. So it was a drive enough to help us read hard. So I went back, HSC, And incidentally, God helps me out. I was a very disciplined girl, a disciplined leader who always lived exemplarily. Then, when we did Senior 6, I made it on campus, Makerere University on merit.
On government?
On government.
The dream came true?
The dream came true. So, I did my bachelor's. But towards the end of the bachelor's in education, I wanted to run away. You know, at campus, fellow students are like, no, we are not going to teach. Let us do these things for formality. We give these degrees to our parents, then.
So in other words, you are doing the degree for your parent. So you started out with a passion to do your bachelor's in education. Along the way towards the end, your heart changed to let me do it for my parents. All right.
Now, after university, we had to go join the world of work. Getting there, I remember one of my professors gave me a cover letter to go and join Monitor. I worked with Monitor, but along the way, things did not work on well. I got home. Then my friend, after a year, calls me, tells me, Olivia, come we work in Kampala. I joined business. Are you seeing now? I even didn't bother going to look for a school elsewhere because I wanted to. Then, after a period of 1.5 years, my heart was like, no. My father's calling now comes back. He used to remind me, you are going to be a teacher.
Your dad?
Yes. I see a teacher in you. Along the way, these words echo back because by that time I had lost him.
Oh dear. How many years after school?
I lost him. I lost Daddy while I was at campus.
Okay.
Second year, first sem. I lost him. But his words started echoing. Because I was in Kampala, I was getting little money. I was not happy. I was doing something that was not in my dream and in my wishes. So, there, in the mid-course, I met a relative. This relative told me, Olivia, I've been looking for you. I have a job for you. And I was like, what job? You're going to teach. It was really funny because I was crying out for it in my heart.
Yes.
Then I went, I met him, because we made an appointment, I met him. Then he took me to, my first school was Chadondo Senior Secondary School, Matuga. That was 2005. I started working there, of course with this other passion. I got on board.
Yes.
And since then, I've been
You've never looked back.
Yeah. I worked with Chadondo SS, then I worked with Namidiango Senior Secondary School, then to Saku Senior Secondary School, then now. But all the way I was a teacher, a disciplinarian, then to now, deputy head teacher.
What a beautiful story, one that is encouraging. One, and allow me also now ask, as a young girl, around senior 4, it's when your thought process, cognitive process starts to think into, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a teacher. But along the way, the teaching calling surpasses that. But at that age is so young. And in my time of school, I don't know if it's still the same in today's time of school, there's a negative connotation about teaching.
Yeah.
In my time, there was one. Was it there in your time?
Not so much. I think it also depends with the school that you went to. Now, in my school, we had beautiful teachers, especially the women. They were really beautiful, the likes of Mrs. Josephine Jemba. She was a very beautiful geography teacher. I think she was a fresh graduate by then. Then Mrs. Nabakabia. These were women with character. They were women of noble character to us.
So
they were really exemplary to us.
They were not just teaching.
They were not, to me, they were not just, this is the time I come to appreciate and realize that they were not only teaching me, but they were mentoring me. Then I had a deputy called Mrs. Grace Ranga. very exemplary, a role model in my life. Sometimes the people that saw her tell me, Olivia, you too much of this woman. And I'm like, I don't really understand, but we had wonderful teachers.
And then not allow me ask for the journey, the long that you've taught. The teachers, the quality of teachers you had then, you experienced them then. Don't you think you're one of the few who had such noble character that is remaining now?
By the way,
I don't know if you've noticed that probably you could be 1 out of 1 million of teachers who still have that noble character, who go beyond that duty, that are all about the calling. You want to live yourself in the children and pupils and students that you teach. Why do you think it's so? Why do you think teachers have lost it nowadays?
Okay, teachers have lost it. I still take it back to the schools that people went to. Now we have schools in Kampala or in Uganda where people really think education doesn't matter. It is all about go for law, become this other MP, go for procurement, become, you get it, But if only teachers, as they are delivering to these children in class, would really prove to them that education is the way to go, would then have so many teachers.
Yes.
But we have parents who are like, no, I can't take my kid to such a school. Forgetting that life is short. Forgetting that many things can happen on the way before your kid becomes what you expected. Many things. Like I never expected my dad to go away. I never expected him to that brief. That was the time I wanted him most. And check what the Lord does. He decides, let me pull this man out of her life. But then even if he had stayed around, we had a dream of making a school because we had an asset somewhere on the suburbs of Kampala. So we wanted to make a school there. But I was like, nevertheless, whether he's gone or not, I'll get there.
You'll make it. Women's Week, we are celebrating the role of women in the education sector, and we did start with Madame Olive Nakamia's journey, how she joined the education sector. It was a passion, it was a calling. Her father played a big role in encouraging her. May he rest well, continue resting well, but she still holds the mantle. And right now, she is a whole deputy head teacher. I think somebody here could have been your student at one time, too. They haven't left your name, but they are saying, good morning, Madame Nakamia. So by the time it seems you have crossed paths in the journey of being a teacher student. Now, if you want to be a part of the show, send your WhatsApp message to 0709 602 592. Now, let's talk on the role of women in the education sector, Madame Nakamia. What role do you think women are contributing to the education sector?
Women have played a very big role. A very big role. We have seen women starting up schools, and these schools have been very successful. Very successful. Let me take an example of our school. This school, St. Elizabeth in Kowe Senior Secondary School, is owned by Mr. Katopo with his wife. They have been educationalists for quite long, but every behind a powerful man, there is a prayerful or a strong woman.
I usually love to say besides every powerful man.
Besides. Yes. Because when I look at Mrs. Kato, she's a strong woman who believes in her husband, even where things seem, she's like, Daddy, let's push on. Let's do this. Where things seem to be going not right, she's like, no, we can manage. We can do this. I look at her as a person that keeps on. She makes sure the boat keeps going. It never stops, but it keeps sailing.
Yes.
And sailing till when it gets to the dock. So women educators have played a very big role Because even minus these women, these men cannot make it. At one time they can break because of the so many challenges. But we, the women, have this spirit of resilience in us.
Yes.
The spirit of endurance in us. As in, you just can't let go things like that. A man will see something and he's, I don't like that. Let me leave. But a woman is like, no.
You see beyond.
You see beyond. Where nobody sees, you are like. But I think if we kept going, we can achieve this. Because that school did not begin great. It began small, very small. But see where it is today. So women have really played a very positive role in the education sector.
Yes.
And they really need to be supported still.
And now that is actually behind the scenes. Now let's talk about the front line. At the front line, we have leaders like yourself. That means you're sitting at the table to influence different decisions. But I believe when you sit at the table, you have perspectives that are more relatable than even a man. In regards to, you probably relate with the people you're educating primarily from the surface, even before a man interacts.
Yeah.
And you are at the table, but it never comes easy. But how is it shaping Uganda's education system for women to be at the front line?
Wow. Now, it's a good thing to have women at the front line, because in the education sector or in the education process or system, there are so many challenges. In a system where you only have men at the table front, then still rest assured, a number of things are going to go amiss. Whereas when it comes to we, the women, we handle these issues at depth. For instance, being a deputy head teacher in Nkowe, in a day, I can handle a maximum of around 20 issues, 20 to 30. That is when I consider the percentages and numbers of students that flock my office, because I tell them, my office is open to all of you. If there is anything you want to discuss with me, please come, we talk. Whether you come crying, you come stressed, you come, you know. Like yesterday I had a student who came to my office. Madam, I want to go home because I'm not okay. I was like, are you sick? Madam, I'm not sick, but I want a sick leave. I go home, I rest, I find time for prayer. So when she talked about prayer, I knew now this one needs a spiritual talk. So I sat her down. I told her, compose yourself, settle, now can we talk? What is it? Can you be a little open to me to disclose something so that I can have a basis upon which I can help you? What a man cannot do. This girl wanted to go home because she feels when she sits in class, she cannot settle. When the teacher is teaching, she's not grasping everything. When she's writing her exam, she's like, I set my papers right, but along the way, I come to realize I'm going off board. How would you help such a child?
Yes.
Which man can handle that? But I think I gave her a talk of around 45 minutes. And by the time we left, this girl had now settled.
Healed.
She had healed spiritually, because I told her to keep praying, not to give up, to believe in herself, to focus. Because I asked her, what is your dream? What is your dream
career?
She told me, I want to become. She told me she wants to become a lawyer. She wants to become a what? You know, everyone dreams big, which is good, so that you can pursue your dream. But at the end of it all, she was like, thank you, madam, I think I'm settled.
But allow me also celebrate you on that, because with that example that you've stated, there are two cases. Either to maybe allow her get her pass out to go home, or to just tell her off that she's being babied and she should just go back to class. And it is what is, it's rare to be in school and find a teacher who has your time to just speak, to be a friend, to listen, you know. So I think right there you're playing a very good role even in regards to handling mental health issues of students. And one thing for sure is students deal with a lot of mental health issues, but not many teachers or even their parents take time to see the underlying effects and just usually shove them away with what is being laid at the table. So I'm celebrating you for that. But could you state examples, vivid examples that you know of women that have impacted the education sector in Uganda?
The women that have impacted the education sector. We have, there is a professor called Professor Izzat. I think she's the Dean, College of External Studies, or College of Education, Makerere University. Why am I quoting this woman? I'm quoting her because she has dealt with so many teachers. She's the person who screens us. She screens you and approves of your degree. So I applaud her so much. Then another person, even the president, the first lady, the Minister of Education, Mrs. Janet Museveni, then the likes of Mrs. not Miriam Matembe, Mrs. She used to be an education minister.
Honorable Bitamazire. Yes.
That woman, bravo to her. Then which other woman? I think those ones.
Indeed, we celebrate them as well here on UBC. As we celebrate women this week and this month, today we are celebrating women in the education sector. And with me in studio is Madame Olive Nakamia. She is the Deputy Head Teacher of St. Elizabeth SS Nkowe. And I think you can tell her passion. But if you have questions or opinions to share in regards to the education sector, please do feel free to send a WhatsApp message, or a WhatsApp message that is to 0709602592. A couple of you are coming through already, and allow me to read. This is from Taremwa Nicodemus. Good morning, presenter. Thank you for the show. I'm a founder of Women and Youth Empowerment in Health and Mindset Change program. Okay, all right. I will deliver that to those above me. Thank you so much for coming through. Alex from Kiliandongo, you say that why government school building is always looking bad, and every year they pass a budget for school for government. For example, in Dika Primary School in Kiliandongo, I think government does not visit this place, and you say that the government should give that job to you so that you do a good job and give them a very good report every single day. I hope the government is listening in, but I believe Madame Olive will also be speaking into some of those challenges a little later on. But for now, let's talk about challenges, Madame Olive. The journey that has been, I believe you relate. What challenges do women face in this education sector?
Now, some of the challenges that women face in the education sector. Let me talk about becoming a mother. Becoming a mother is a serious challenge.
It is.
Especially with the early pregnancies, the challenges of early pregnancies, where sometimes you find yourself being unable to present, to talk in class. You feel down, you're weak. Just like any other woman would feel elsewhere. It is quite challenging, but when you give it time, you overcome it. You outgrow that stage.
Yes.
However, I find so many women, so many teachers in the making dropping out, where they are unable to pursue their career because when they conceived, maybe they're over throwing up. They're bony and skinny, and they're like, my students will look at me as in, what is not happening to this woman now? So some teachers, some female teachers drop out. because of that. And another, still in the same line of trying to become parents and mothers, some also seriously drop out because they have no one to help them take care of their children. That becomes a serious challenge where even the bosses do not give mothers enough time. Because as a teacher, but also a mother in the making, if I'm dedicating my time to these students, I also need to be given time to take care of my children so that I can nurture them well. Where sometimes our bosses are like, work fast. So you get to a point where you cannot hold it and find yourself, no, let me break off so that I balance this boat. I balance these issues, because at the end of the day, we are all looking at the prosperity and the well-being of our families. So that becomes a challenge. Then the other challenge is when people are looking for jobs. I didn't face this so much in the education sector, but where I was trying to run to, things were not easy. You apply for a job, then on getting to these offices, they'll promise you the job is there, but on condition.
Yes.
Those things, no. I don't like that. However, I applaud the teachers, the heads of schools I have worked with. I have not seen such a thing happen. At least, I think, I don't know whether the God was telling me, please, this is the right channel to go. But wherever I went, trying to run away from education, that was the condition. And I was not willing to put up my skirts for that. So I was like, no, but education is decent. Let me pursue this thing. The other challenge is the challenges where people work and maybe they're not paid. But where I work, payment is prompt. Yeah, because I cannot
bless the Lord for that.
I cannot work for a person that doesn't pay me.
Bless the Lord for that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very interesting. And you talk about what I see from what you've submitted is number one, work-life balance.
Yeah.
It's such a challenge, but also spaces where there's sexual harassment, you know, for women. I believe, we thank God for where you work, but I believe there are spaces, there are schools, you know, where teachers or women in teaching roles or even leadership roles at that are faced with sexual harassments of different colors and different dress codes. And on that note, allow me ask you, these things are not just done because there's no one else playing a role. That means there's a man on the other side intimidating the existence of a woman in that particular position she's serving. What role do you think men are supposed to do to empower women in these positions?
In the first place, these men are supposed to believe in the women. Because if you believe in this person, then it is very easy to empower them. If you kind of see another person in the very person you're dealing with, you can easily support them. They should not look at women as their sexual tools. Let them look at the women as mothers of tomorrow, mothers of the nation, who are going to be in position to help so many or thousands of other children. The other thing, before you think of harassing this woman, think of your child or your daughter. What if it was your daughter? And what you are doing to this woman is what some other man is doing to your daughter. Would you really love it? Would you really love it?
No.
Of course not. So if you wouldn't love it, then don't do it to another person. Because you will harvest what you are reaping, what you sow. You will reap what you are sowing. Because sometimes we forget as we're doing these things that they'll bounce back to our children. That misuse of that office will bounce back to your children in some way.
Yes.
God is very funny. You may do something today. He will give you time, but stay rest assured. It will come back bountifully. Bountifully.
Yes.
So we need to be careful with these things we're handling.
Yes, but also looking at the issue of maternity spaces for women in workspaces. Like you've mentioned that the challenges of when you get pregnant, sometimes the beginning stages are not easy, but also even at the aftermath of when you've given birth. How best can men support women who are working and are serving diligently and with result in the education sector?
The men need to be there. They need to dedicate most of their time to their families, to be very supportive, because yes, these men, the men are the heads of the families, but then this woman is the pillar of that family. Because if you remove that pillar, that whole family is gone. Because there is no single man that... Men can sustain the family, but they cannot uphold the family. That is why I refer to a woman as a pillar. Minus the pillar, everything is crushed. You may have the head, yes. But if you don't have the backbone, the head will not remain up. The head can only remain up on condition that there is another backbone supporting it. The backbone is the woman. So men should be very supportive to their wives, not only at the time of giving birth. There is what we call the postnatal period. They should come in and be there. Me, I'm grateful. I have a husband who has been there for me.
Amen. Glory to God.
He has been there for me. He never leaves. He will leave his work for me to see that his children are okay. So I pray even other women have such men, such husbands who can really take care of them. Just like they said, I do, let it be I do forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
We are celebrating women in the education sector, and with me in studio is Madame Olive Nakamia, who is the Deputy Head Teacher of St. Elizabeth SS Nkore, and thus far her conversation is very impacting and powerful, a lot to learn from. 0709602592 is the number you send your WhatsApp message to. Have a question for her, have an opinion to share, please do exactly that. Philip from Karamoja, good afternoon, Madame Olivia. Thank you for your inspirational talk this morning. Education is a key to a nation's growth and development, a key to individual life. Teaching, however, is a pillar in development. I pray that women keep their heads up for education as a candlelight. And the problem in our country is marginalization of the teaching profession, which is making many teachers to opt out, although qualified. Politics sideline, and some outspoken women teachers, and politics sideline some outspoken female teachers and don't promote them and get them where they are naturally counselors by God's grace. This is Philip from Karamoja. What do you have to say about the problem that he shares, that the education sector in Uganda is really sidelined? It's marginalized. Yeah, it's very marginalized, so it's not given as much attention, and it's causing many women who would be counselors, mentors, who would be the women that you are, sidelining them and taking them out of the sector.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip, for that question. It is true. Women have been marginalized. Women have been compromised for other things, especially in the education sector. But to me, I feel if you have this other calling in your heart, go out for it. You are educated. You have that bachelor's. You have, some even have masters in education, but they decided to walk out. You know, patience pains, but in the long run, it pays. I have not seen children of teachers fail. I have not seen children of teachers as drunkards on the streets. I have not. You may find children of people that have done other professions drinking on streets, but children of teachers are very successful. That is the secret. You'll find children of businessmen, yes, they'll be successful, but they'll go and drink like nothing.
Oh, wow. Is that an individual observation?
Yes.
Interesting.
But out from my observation,
yes,
children of teachers are very successful.
Yes.
Now, if you have a calling in you and you really feel you want to achieve your calling, just be patient. Because with our profession, it is all about patience. There is nothing like, I'm going to get money fast.
Yes.
My first, I remember I was working at my auntie's nursery school while I was at campus. The first payment I got was 20,000.
For a month, for a whole month?
That was in 1999. 20,000. And I was grateful as a young girl. Then my first payment in Chadonda was 80,000 shillings.
Wow.
But I no longer get that.
Yes.
It is all about patience.
Patience, yeah.
Where other jobs, other professions, people rush for millions of money, what? It is not with education. Because if you don't train a human being to be patient, then stay rest assured they are going to bump into hot soup. There is no single profession you're going to get money quickly like that. Look at how lawyers get their money. For a lawyer to create any chambers, and for those chambers to be very successful,
it takes a journey here.
It is a journey. In the same way in education, the people we see, the likes of Mrs. Kato who have these schools, the St. Elizabeth type, my friend, it is a journey. Because even a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So little by little you get there. And I believe, except that with the secondary curriculum, it has been changed. But this is my advice to my friends who have run out of the education sector. Please get back on board. You can always come back and you catch up. It is all about being determined and committed to what you're going to do.
What if the environment does not favor? Economically, someone has to actually make money to survive on a daily, buy basic needs, pay utilities, and sometimes the money and what they have to
I understand.
do not make sense.
I understand. But what has to come to your mind, there is never enough salary, there is never enough money. Look at this education system like your home. Whether you leave 100,000 for upkeep in your home, it will be enough, or 50,000 will be enough, or 1 million will be enough for that day. So it is all about determination and devotion.
As we start to bring this to a close, what advice would you have for the government to implement? What should the government implement to help women in the education sector thrive?
Okay, to the government. In the first place, I appreciate the government of Uganda for all their endeavors into the education sector. They have really done a lot. We have come this far, and we have not come this far to see us fail. To me, compared to the schools of the early 80s, to the schools of today, I think government has really done a lot to allow privatized education, because with privatization sector, it permits competition, and with competition, it is very healthy economically. It is very healthy. We are having better schools, though I would encourage our government to help proprietors of these schools reduce the revenue. It is much. Yet, when it comes to the private sector, they are not adding to the schools, but they are taking away. If only they could subsidize this. Then the other issue is, if government could come out and start up programs on maybe different platforms to inspire the girl child, Yes, I know there are programs they have always supported, like the ones, is it USO? And Young Christian Women Network. Then we also have the likes of Compassion Uganda. But we still need more. We still need more because we have the girl child deep down there in the village who needs to be given a hand. We have girl child who cannot even afford a pad. Yeah. We have children deep down. One time I was watching news and I was shocked. Where the girl child had to put sand in a polythene bag to use it as a pad. I was touched. In our times, I remember sanitary pads were for free. They used to give out sanitary pads even in schools in Kampala. At the same time, there was no tax on these pads. How about bringing this back so that factories or manufacturers of these sanitary pads can be in position to help these children in the villages access these pads, because a number of them are missing out on education because they're not so certain of their tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Madam Olive Nakamia. It's been such an amazing conversation, and indeed, for me, one takeaway that is such a highlight is the issue of pads. If our condoms can be given away free, why not pads to keep a girl in school? Madam Olive Nakamia is the Deputy Head Teacher of St. Elizabeth SS in Kowe, and she has been talking to us on the agenda as we celebrate women in the education sector. Thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing. Greetings to everyone at St. Elizabeth SS in Kowe. It's a few minutes to 9 a.m. and Ruben is already around to give you more of the sports update. But that has been it from Good Morning Uganda, the agenda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba Musisi, and Good Morning Uganda continues.
International Women's Day is celebrated annually on 8th March. It is a time to reflect on progress made, to call for change and to celebrate acts of courage and determination play by women. On Saturday, 8th March, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. The national celebrations will be held in Jangwanzi district under the theme Accelerate Action for Gender Equality. The President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be the chief guest. Join us for the live broadcast to witness outstanding women receive medals in recognition of their achievements and contributions to the country. Happy Women's Day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Is not playing now. We know that Odegaard was injured at after a bit the beginning of the season, but it's the same team. How come now you don't create anymore? And yes, you score goals on set pieces, but suddenly you don't anymore. You don't score goals.
Do you have to give him a bit of a pass for the attacking talent that's missing?
Saka.
What pass?
Just in terms of